Hey, good morning, traders. Hopefully, I got my audio fixed. I've been working on it. Tried a few different things to change here on my computer. So basically, what I got going on this morning, we're doing a hard back test of the prior all-time highs. We looked above there yesterday and failed, and now we're back testing it from underneath as we speak. Coming up into the weekly VWAP, could very well be a rejection point, so be very mindful of that. This is where you would expect a possible rejection off the all-time highs and the weekly VWAP. Okay, so let's keep an eye on that. Anything can happen. It can continue higher. So basically, on my pre-market movers here on volume this morning, China internet names are really topping the bill here. We are up on volume on Boeing this morning. They had raised their came out with high guidance for the 2024. Came out with a press release this morning. But in that same token, we had United Airlines report this morning, and they basically were kind of frustrated with Boeing and the problems they've been having. So they basically came out and blatantly said they're going to be getting they're going to be ordering a lot more planes from alternate sources, and without actually specifying, and that means Airbus. So so basically, that's what's going on here. That's kind of a little bit bad news facing Boeing this morning. So be very mindful of that. Some things that I'm seeing in this market. So basically, if you look at the SPY first versus yesterday, so I'm coming into till that's the Russell. Okay, Russell. So really strong uh, advanced decline yesterday. So they're coming in this morning expecting a strong advanced decline again after seeing a lot of under the hood breath coming into the markets yesterday. We didn't really get anywhere, but they were buying up a lot of the low hanging fruit in the markets yesterday. So be very mindful of that, what was going on. They might continue doing that today, but that's something to definitely keep on watch going into today's session. And they were buying up that low hanging fruit. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. Same token here. Almost positive 1,500 on the advanced decline on the S&Ps. So it was a broad. Let's raise the stuff that has not participated in the market yesterday, and this is pretty much what they did without actually moving the indices themselves. They all coming in, buying up that low hanging fruit in the markets. So definitely keep in mind, a lot of times that can indicate a little bit of trader exhaustion. Whenever they start rotating at that low hanging fruit, they're all of a sudden willing to take more risk on into things that not necessarily are performing as well as the better trend stocks, the trend names. So you have your mega techs. They're all all your moving averages are lined up. All your VWAPs, everything's lined up for that really bullish case. You know, and what we had yesterday is they took they started bringing those back down a little bit, and not necessarily lining up. Now all of a sudden, those moving averages stuff, the trend is not quite as solid as it was going into yesterday in those big mega tech names, and instead, like I said, they raised the low hanging fruit. So be very mindful of that. Okay. Things I'm looking at this morning here. DWAC, perfect example. Ridiculous blow up in the markets. Who knows? It might go to $200-300 a share. Nobody knows. But I'm just saying, the optimism in DWAC because of Trump going into the election is just off the chart. So uh, obviously, the earnings are probably going to be less than what the move is justifying here. So be mindful of that, going forward here. Some things I'm looking at here. Tesla's really underperforming here. Nothing's really lining up for the bullish case in Tesla. In my opinion, you really got to regain over the 220 to be looking for a momentum type setup. And so basically, as a momentum trader, I can't even suggest to the upside that is a bearish setup on Tesla. Early this morning here, we are above the weekly VWAP here on Apple and above the weekly VWAP on Microsoft. So you have to think initially here, with the two biggest companies in the world, trading, on the bullish side of VWAP and weekly VWAP, you got to be a little hesitant on those on that bearish take. Okay, so be very mindful of that. Some things I am looking at here, though, in addition here, we're coming up pretty hard here on SPY. SPY is outperforming this morning, coming right off of our central pivot range with a little bit more force. So generally, what I like to see in the morning is to see the force coming out of tech, to be supportive. So tech tends to overshoot and overextend to the downside. So what I would like to do when I come into the morning sessions is to see tech actually moving further away from the central pivot than lagging behind the central pivot. That gives me a little red flag that the move up very well might not be supported this morning. So be mindful of that. It's just a real quick takeaway here. Crude not able to hold a bid here. We're turning bearish on the session here on crude. Uh, Nvidia is pretty much flat. We've accomplished our target, $600. It can come down. It can back to have a bigger bull flag back test and still be quite bullish. I mean, but we are into a major target for that one as well. And I don't think I have AMD on here. Uh, Meta, like I said, was doing that critical back test. Could very well that could be the day highs that we're seeing right here, right now on Meta for a move back down here. So be very mindful of that. And remember, Netflix is a power. That's an ad company. So they moved into the ad space. So we're up into the gap area here. I think it's a gap area. I'll have to double check. But yeah, we're into this gap area, I think, here on Meta this morning. So be mindful of that. I have to double check it here in a minute. Getting a little pop here, they're all thinking this ad revenue is just going to be great this morning. So they're running this up that way. If the earnings do disappoint, they can bring it back down to still not be down anything on the week. So you be very mindful of that. I always get really worried when something runs up right before earnings, like somebody knows something and they're trying to pin the weekly value for the earnings call. So be very mindful of that going in today's trading session. So but basically, anybody who's watching my charts, this is the main thing that I normally put up for my charts every day. And as you can see here, uh, SPY's outperforming, and Qs are coming back down a little bit. And I am solely watching the internet names this morning. These things have just been taken to the absolute woodshed. So these things can actually perform separate of the U.S. indices. So I would definitely want to keep these on watch in today's session. The main one, just the past couple of days, JD's just gotten obliterated. And this thing here could actually, with BABA breaking above the yearly anchored VWAP this morning, uh, these are very similar companies. I could definitely see a catch-up trade happening here with JD this morning in spades. So that's one I really focused in on here. I don't really know much about PDD. It has a lot of ties to the Chinese military, so it's actually performing the best last year. But it's started to show a little weakness this year so far. And here we're breaking above the trend here on Baidu. Okay, so Baidu is kind of would be the next one coming up to the 2024 anchor VWAP and a big gap above us here. So I like that one. This setup, I kind of like this setup here. So Baidu and JD, I'm really keeping a close eye on those. You are into like a monthly central pivot range here on BABA. But those are some things I'm looking at here in the early morning session. So hopefully my taping works pretty good here, and we'll see what happens today. Ultimately, my thesis going into last night was SPY would fill this gap here, uh, the gap from Friday. So I was really looking for that gap fill on SPY. So be very mindful. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't. We are into major resistance on SPY, maybe they want to take us higher before they bring a step back down. Okay, very well that could be the case. But I think this is showing I think Qs are still showing relative weakness this morning. So I'd much rather think that the pops are going to fail than actually to push the envelope to the upside. Okay, thanks a lot, and we'll see what happens. Oh, be sure and like me on YouTube if you can. I'll have a comment below if you want to enter my Discord, or I got some other group Discords, free Discord if you guys are interested, and and the Slack room if you guys are interested. So just let me know, and hopefully, you can add these live charts all day long if you want to come in and watch my charts. Thanks a lot.